And one of the other big stories at the same time that Punch took ill was the near riot that took place in Philadelphia during a hockey game between the St. Louis Blues and the Philadelphia Flyers, a riot that ended up moving into the stands as the Blues confronted Philadelphia patrons. And the whole scene ended up with Coach Al Arbour of the Blues and 3 players being arrested and carted off to a police station in a paddy wagon. Philadelphia sports columnist Frank Dolson has a very interesting report that he wrote on this. He was disgusted by the whole thing. You'll be able to tell that, I think. But I'm going to read this to you the way he wrote it, just to give you a perspective of a Philadelphia writer. This happened right in his city. Here's how the report starts. The videotape replay, courtesy Channel 29, showed it clearly. There was Bob Plager of the St. Louis Blues trying to climb the railing, trying to get at the fans in the stands. There was Barclay Plager reaching up with his hockey stick, swinging at the man and missing him. There was Phil Roberto, number 17, slashing at the same fan. He didn't miss. The blade of the stick hit the spectator in the back of the left hand, almost certainly breaking it. The man recoiled in pain and backed away from the smarting stick-swinging mob. A policeman attempted to pull Bob Plager off the railing and shoved the crowd of St. Louis hockey players out of the runway at the east end of the spectrum. Roberto reached out suddenly and threw a punch at the officer with his left hand. Dolson writes, "This is hockey in Philadelphia. A smoke bomb exploding on the ice during a free-for-all in a Philadelphia-St. Louis playoff game. A Boston player climbing into the stands to get at spectators who had insulted him during a Saturday matinee. Golf balls flying out of the balcony during a Philadelphia-Chicago playoff game. The target, Bobby Hull, one of the game's all-time greats. And now this. Thursday night's bloody brawl at the Spectrum may have been a new low in Philadelphia hockey. Some of the fans loved it, but not all of them. Not even most of them. But enough of them, probably, the same animals probably, who think it's good to fire golf balls at the unprotected head of a, quote, enemy star. The same animals who are threatening to ruin a great sport by turning into something vicious and dirty, sort of a roller derby on ice. And you know what? There were members of the governors of the National Hockey League that wanted to see exactly that happen. Yes, this is hockey in Philadelphia. It's a visiting coach disputing a call with a referee at the end of a period, getting doused with beer, getting his head cracked open by a billy club, and finally walking out of a police station at 5 a.m. with his hands handcuffed behind his back. The first beer went on Al Arbour, said a local attorney who was sitting in Section 20 with a bird's eye view of the entire ugly affair, and it was poured down the back of his head and neck. This brought great laughter from the people upstairs. The attorney, who requested that his name be withheld, was upset over what he had seen and heard and concerned over the brutality displayed by some of Philadelphia's hockey fans and at least one Philadelphia policeman. Arbour was pushed from behind, the eyewitness in Section 20 said. He appeared to be pushed by a policeman. The St. Louis coach was face-to-face with one officer, hesitated, and put the stick down. Another officer pulled out a blackjack, held it by Arbour's head, but he didn't hit him with it. Now, at that point, it was a full-scale riot involving more than a dozen St. Louis players. Hockey sticks and billy clubs flailed. Blood flowed. Some of these frenzied fans actually wanted more. A fan, a big man with long hair and a beard, wearing a wool-plaid coat, grabbed Unger, Blues center Gary Unger, by his hair. The lawyer said that got quite a bit of laughter, too. And his voice trailed off. But Unger didn't laugh. He looked to me. The man almost pulled him off his feet, the eyewitness said. Unger got livid. He motioned to the fan. The guy made an attempt to throw a folding chair at him. He lifted it to shoulder level, but I guess he didn't throw it. Before the battle ended, before Thursday night's poor excuse for a sports event was completed, there were more casualties than goals. 2 players, 4 fans, at least 2 policemen. No wonder the man in Section 20 called it, quote, a disgusting display. Yet, this is hockey in Philadelphia. It is the president of the Flyers, Joe Scott, accosting the vice president of the Blues, Lynn Patrick, in the Spectrum press room a few minutes after the battle ended. Scott was angry because the game was being delayed to give the St. Louis players a chance to sharpen their skates. Shut up, Patrick told him. I don't have to shut up, Scott retorted. When you try and beat the police up, you're in the wrong city. Well, you're in the right city. Damn right. We've taken it from you from the Blues for 4 years, and we ain't going to take it much more. And so it went. To the fan brutality and the police brutality and the front office vulgarity, you'd have thought this was World War III they were fighting, not a game between 2 particularly bad National Hockey League teams. But this is hockey in Philadelphia. It's the visiting coach, 10 stitches in his head, and 3 of his players, one of them, John Arbor, with an even bigger wound, being led to a police station after a game. And it's Sidney Solomon Jr., the Blues president, following them. Ordinarily, there might have been a small victory party. On this night, there was a long wait in a small room. They kept me sitting in that room until 5 a.m, Solomon said. They treated us like absolute criminals. Now, at this point, Solomon was home. The worst was over, but his voice still throbbed with anger. The police acted as if his men were guilty. 4 policemen pressed charges. After a reasonable time, they let them, the officers that is, go home. But 4 Blues, the president of the Blues, remained in that small room. We guaranteed we'd be there for trial on February 7th on charge of assault and battery and police officers, disorderly conduct, etc., Solomon said. We assured them we'd stand trial. We weren't thugs. We weren't criminals. We weren't going to run away. No, they weren't thugs. They weren't criminals. They were just a bunch of angry Canadians who threw punches at policemen, slashed at fans with their hockey sticks, and in a couple of cases got clobbered with billy clubs. So they sat there, along with the head of their hockey club, waiting for the wheels of justice to turn in the wee hours of the morning. We didn't eat or anything, said the Blues president. Finally, the wait ended. It was time to see the magistrate. The lieutenant came in and made the men, they were Al Arbor, John Arbor, Phil Roberto, and Floyd Thompson, and I neglected to mention Floyd. He was actually the 4th player. He made them stand up, put their hands behind their backs, and he handcuffed them. The lawyer from Section 20, he says, I certainly didn't go out to see what I saw last night. I don't know if I'd take my wife to another hockey game. I don't know if I'd want to subject her to it, or myself. No wonder. If this is what hockey has become in Philadelphia, maybe roller derby ain't so bad after all.